Good morning and welcome to day 2 of Autodesk DevCon. I gotta say, that's one of my favorite show reels. I gotta love that. And was that an awesome venue last night? That was just a great place. I had so much fun. This morning I was thinking about what I take away from DevCon each and every year. This year, something that inspired me most was talking with all of you about your pursuit of better and what you're thinking about next with sustainability, artificial intelligence. It was just, I don't know, so much to take away. Thank you for sharing with me, and thank you for engaging in all of the rich conversations. It's clear there is so much momentum in this community. We had a record number of class submissions this year, and we were only able to select the top 70, and we're growing each year. Thank you to everyone leading classes. Let's give them all a round of applause. Today, you're going to hear so much about the opportunity in sustainability with connected data. Our Chief Sustainability Officer, Joe Spiker, is going to join us on stage this morning. Like many of you, I care so much about sustainability because I care about our future. But I also know that's not enough. As engineers, we have to dive into the problems at hand. We need to build elegant solutions that drive sustainable outcomes. We need to look for solutions that bridge the gap between the right intentions and the key business impacts, again, that drive for a better future. Auris Materials Intelligence is doing just that for road infrastructure. Founded in France, Auris is on a mission to reduce the impact of road infrastructure carbon impact. And they're targeting construction materials, which make up most of embodied carbon on a given project. For infrastructure designers and engineers, assessing materials is incredibly hard. They must wait for information from suppliers. They take this data and they run these manual calculations. This can take days and oftentimes months. As a result, it can't be done for every design iteration. The process is simply not practical to explore a wide range of options to reduce carbon. So Auris, they re-engineered it. They used APS to extract materials and quantities from BIM. They mapped these to industry-trusted central environmental databases. As a result, no time is wasted waiting for suppliers to send their product information. And anyone on a project is able to run the calculation. This changes the results from waiting days and months to hours. The time savings in this case was as much as 85% when doing multiple design iterations. Getting this quick feedback entirely changes the way we approach sustainability. It moves from checking a box for compliance to a truly iterative development. When I reflect for me, the contrast is like what it was like coding with Emacs and VI and using the command line. Then moving to modern IDEs with IntelliSense, and that was great. But now, with AI and agentic coding tools, the instant feedback and assist changes how software is built, tested, and documented. At the end of the day, it makes me better at doing my job. And that's what Auris is doing. What they're building is not just good for the planet alone, it's also solid engineering. They're taking massive problems, connecting it to the right data, and creating these elegant solutions that change how we work. And after all, isn't that our goal? To work differently, smarter, faster, more creatively towards these better outcomes? I hope you see that DevCon is a great opportunity for you to step back and look at the big picture. Spot these opportunities. I know I've loved talking with you over the past 24 hours, hearing what's on your mind. And sustainability has come up a lot. So has connecting data across the enterprise solutions. You're going to hear more about that in the conversations today with Accenture, AWS, and Esri. But what's driving the need for these solutions? Why are these among the biggest opportunities? And what should we be doing next? Up next, I want to bring to the stage Vikram Dutt. He's here to help connect the dots between digital transformation and building resilient businesses, particularly in this uncertain time. While Vikram's title has the word marketing in it, he is an engineer at heart, and you're going to see that. He is a champion for the Autodesk platform and our developer community and the digital transformation that we enable together. Please join me in welcoming Vikram.
Thank you, Ben. And hello, DevCon. So this is my first DevCon, but I already feel right at home. 20 years ago, I was working as a software engineer on virtual reality projects. In fact, when I moved to the US, I was studying electrical engineering, and my eyes were open to new technologies at that time with things like robotics and computer graphics. My master's thesis was a joint project between electrical and mechanical engineering, actually. And my partner in mechanical engineering and I had a great idea at that time. Forget this, driverless car technology. Okay, maybe we were a little bit ahead of our time, but we worked on an affordable driving simulator that helped in several ways, from helping elders learn driving to making driving simulators accessible for all. I guess we were driven, no pun intended, to really make a difference. Now, one of my biggest learnings was working across disciplines to design and make in an integrated fashion. I've personally gone from engineering to business and marketing because I discovered the skills to connect and find common purpose across a diverse group of people. And I can tell you this, it's not enough for Autodesk to engineer technology that solves problems. We need to get that technology, our platform, into the hands of people like you, problem solvers like you. And that's exactly why I am so excited to be here with you today. Over my career, I've had the privilege of seeing our industries innovate, adapt, and embrace different ways of working. It used to be that someone would design something, and then someone else tried to make it. Too often, the design didn't translate to the real world because it wasn't designed with making in mind. We all know what comes next: mistakes, rework, blown budgets, and schedules. But today, we are seeing a new way of working, powered by connected data. In this era of digital transformation, data can be harnessed at every stage across design and make to help teams overcome their biggest challenges. So that's what I want to talk about today, the challenges that our industries and you are facing, and how the Autodesk platform can help you turn those challenges into opportunities, putting in reach a better world designed and made for all. So let's start with the industry landscape. Every year, my team at Autodesk interviews business leaders across the world to provide you with insights that can inform your work. We call this the state of design and make. And yesterday, you heard Ben, Raji, Shelley all refer to findings from the report. But what's the big picture? What's the common thread that we heard across our survey of over 5,500 business leaders? So here's the reality. You all are facing daunting headwinds. Don't worry, there's an opportunity too, and we'll get to it. But let's look at those headwinds first. Cost control is an ongoing struggle. You're having to adjust to inflation, tariff uncertainty, fragile supply chains, and AI is here, but let's face it, implementing it is complicated. In many cases, it's adding to costs rather than saving them, adding to the skills gap rather than fixing it. Yet, most of you remain optimistic about AI's longer-term promise. But you recognize the road to reaching AI's full potential is long. But as you traverse the long road, you know to expect the unexpected. Global uncertainty, compounded by the lack of talent, is rocking the status quo. So one statistic in particular really stood out. And pay attention, there might be a quiz. So this year, only 61% of leaders say their organizations are well prepared to weather unforeseen obstacles. That's a 12-point drop from last year's already low number of 73%. So given these dynamics, we heard this sentiment a lot. It's time to control what you can control and focus on creating stability for your business. So, with limited resources and unlimited investment options, you and your customers have tough choices to make. How do you focus your investments to bring about stability? How do you gain insights so you can manage through disruption? How do you generate greater efficiency today and not the far-off future? The answer? Leverage today's most valuable asset, data. Simple, right? Well, we won't be here if it was that simple. Teams are generating massive amounts of data every day. AECO firms, for instance, increased their data storage 8 times over a 5-year period. And now, across design and make companies, teams are struggling to make that data useful and accessible. By the way, here's just a snapshot of what it looks like. 90 minutes waiting for files to open. That's long enough to watch the season finale of your favorite TV show. And I know what I would rather be doing. So maybe a quick show of hands. Who here is experiencing these pain points or hearing your customers experience them? Okay, see a few hands. All right, so I see quite a few of you struggling with this, right? But here's what's exciting. As you heard from Shelley yesterday, Autodesk Platform supercharges your ability to solve industry challenges by making data granular, accessible, and interoperable. In other words, getting data into a structure that is both usable and useful. And that's why the future is all about platforms. By putting data at the center and turning it into a resource, platform can power things like shared capabilities, automated workflows, and AI-powered tools such as Autodesk Assistant. With platforms, data becomes a free-flowing expressway of valuable information instead of a roadblock. And while platforms provide the environment, APIs can help you drive your solutions to market. Okay, show of hands, any executives out here? Right, see a few hands. Okay, there's got to be a few more of you. But anyway, you can use this to connect enterprise tools and provide new services, right? So opening up a whole new opportunity. That's pretty exciting. Okay, I hope I see more hands here now. Developers, show of hands. Who here are developers? All right, you all know this, right? You can create entirely new capabilities for your customers. A great example of this is JE Dunn. I love how they're making data easy to use for every person on the team. So JE Dunn is a well-established company. They're, in fact, the 8th largest general contractor in the US. And they have a ton of data. Project data, cost data, construction management data, all in different tools. So they wanted to streamline the experience to give their teams a single point of entry for every piece of project data, from pre-construction over to handover. So what did they do? They used APIs to bring everything together across their full technology stack. So instead of scattered data, now they can use powerful 3D visualizations in Autodesk Construction Cloud to track schedules and costs. They have dramatically ramped up their ability to forecast and solve project risks. So everyone at JE Dunn, from project managers, field teams, clients, can do more with data. Okay, I got one more story for you. Now, this one is about how do you achieve massive innovation with an existing technology stack. And that's what we're seeing with the Royal BAM Group. They're one of Europe's largest construction and civil engineering firms. So BAM recently set out a position and developed the core of their common data environment by connecting two key enterprise platforms, Microsoft SharePoint and Autodesk Construction Cloud. So now, before this, the team at BAM spent hours manually reworking, reviewing, publishing, republishing files in both platforms for every project. Now, depending on the size of the project, we're talking hundreds to thousands of files. It was so inefficient. So what did they do? BAM used APS to connect and automate these workflows, saving countless hours of manual labor and making it easier for everyone to find what they need when they need it. Now BAM is looking to automate even more data flows between designers and makers, and even feeding their data into their analytics platform so that business leaders have real-time insights right at their fingertips. BAM's goal is to provide the best experience to their people, their scarce resource, and ensure a more efficient and fail-safe approach to information management across all projects. So when you make data a resource, it drives the highest value work. So we have a few members of the BAM development team here today. First of all, thank you so much for your partnership with us. We have Jeroen Gatella and Ben Davies here. Where are you guys? Okay. So let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you for the partnership. So remember that research about leaders feeling unprepared? I told you there'll be a quiz. So who here remembers the data point on the percentage of leaders that feel prepared to handle unforeseen change? Any guesses? 61, awesome. All right, you get a prize now. Okay, good job. Well, we also found that when organizations start effectively using their data, suddenly the percentage of leaders that feel prepared jumps to 84%. Now, you are the ones who can help more organizations like JE Dunn and BAM connect their data and become part of the 84%. You are the ones leading that industry transformation. So while much of the industry is looking to the future with caution, it is clear that digital transformation efforts are not just a good bet, they are paying dividends. Helping more companies achieve these outcomes is why you're here. Because you are the ones who can identify the gaps that still exist between how we design and how we make things. And you are the ones who can connect data across all those stages. So before I hand over the mic, I want to encourage you to take a moment and ask yourself these three questions. Where is your data still disconnected? Where do you have enormous data sets that need to be analyzed and connected? And where do your teams get stuck or lose time when sharing information between design and make? These are the places where, like BAM and JE Dunn, you can deliver new solutions that address real challenges. Platform is the accelerator to these new ways of working. APIs are the tool set for driving innovation forward. And the opportunity, well, that's entirely yours for the taking. So with that, let's dig even deeper into what you can do with enterprise integrations from some key Autodesk partners. We have AWS, Esri, and Accenture here with us. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Senior Director of Platform Engineering and Developer Ecosystem, Emil Kafuri.
Thank you, Vikram. I've known Vikram for over a decade, and he continues to inspire and teach me new things. It's such a pleasure working with him. So, hello, DevCon. Nice, thank you. That's awesome. Let's keep it loud. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for joining us. It is just an absolute pleasure to be here. I really enjoy it. It's one of the highlights of my life every year. First of all, I want to welcome to the stage 3 leaders that are strategic partners of Autodesk. From AWS, the leading hyperscaler out there, and a premier sponsor for DevCon, we have Colin Lazier. From Esri, one of the Autodesk key infrastructure partners, and a global leader in GIS, we have Conrad Wenzel. From Accenture, one of the largest system integrators and consultancy firms in the world, we have Johan Kroon. Please join me in welcoming them on stage. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. Well, we're here today to talk about enterprise integration. Many of you are in the midst of already going through that digital transformation journey. Raise your hand if you're going through that journey today. Nice. I'll call it 20%. Of course, some of you maybe reached the end of that journey, and some of you have not yet started. Now let's see in this audience, how many of you are challenged by things like data access, integration to the enterprise, and automation? Raise your hands if that looks familiar. Yeah, that looks like the majority. I feel your pain. As leaders, you're constantly challenged with finding ways to streamline your business and to mitigate risk. Our panelists have found ways to help our joint customers do just that. So let's dig in, find out how they've done it, and what we can learn from them. Let's start with Colin. How are your customers using AWS to connect people and data and improve outcomes in the digital transformation?
One of the most exciting things that we're seeing with customers now is how they're using connected data and then bringing that together with analytics and machine learning to drive real business impact. So instead of information being trapped in different systems, files, versions, spreadsheets, they're actually moving all of their data into AWS and creating a single source of truth within the cloud. They're then able to use that data to transform really how people work together and how they serve their customers. And so actually Autodesk's example, like we've been talking a little bit today, is really a great example of this, where they created a cloud-native AEC data model, and instead of dealing with these massive, complex BIM files, they're able to break this down into smaller pieces and process over 100,000 Revit models a day and move that all into Amazon DynamoDB. With the data now in DynamoDB and in a far more granular and accessible form and as a single source of truth, now when changes happen, everyone knows immediately.
Interesting.
And architects, engineers, contractors, everyone involved in the project can now collaborate in real time and make better, faster decisions. And we're finding this pattern all over many industries, right? Where we're seeing these connected ecosystems, and it's really becoming the new standard for successful organizations.
Very interesting. Bringing everything together, connecting it all, providing a single location for that. Very, very interesting. How about in your case, Conrad? Tell me how Esri's technology is used by your customers to connect and share data across the enterprise.
Well, in Esri, everything is, of course, about geographic coordinate systems. So the common denominator for everyone across disciplines is geolocation. Almost everything that we do, also across disciplines, has a geolocation, has a coordinate and map space. And that is incredibly powerful if we talk about this core bottleneck of sharing data. So think about environmental impact assessment, especially if you are on a big construction project. You want to have environmental factors that you can overlay from a map space with your BIM information as one example, but also socioeconomic factors. And that is really, truly powerful. Well, but there's many people who still say, I'm still scared to share my data, right? So this is the biggest challenge for many of us. And that is where working with services comes really in. There we can manage privileges and say, well, you just stream the data. You can change the rights of privileges of accessing this layer of information for this day with these people. And getting away from files and going more fileless into this service way of thinking is also like the fool for connected platforms. that made our partnership so strong in connecting the Autodesk platform with the Esri platform and being able really to build these connected systems that empower change and data sharing today.
So connecting that federated information without having to locate it all in the same place.
Right.
And also control over that information, of course, becomes really interesting and important. Thank you. Accenture is one of the largest consulting and system integration firms in the world. I'm sure you're exposed to some really, truly cutting-edge projects. So what do you do to connect your customers' enterprise tools and data in the design and make space?
That's a good question. So we are extremely customer-focused. So what we actually do is we sit down with the client, work with them to really understand what they need. And by the way, what you need is not always what you ask for, because clients might be asking for, one thing, what they actually need is something else. So then, by integration, by innovation, think about AI, Gen AI, but also think about large platforms like AWS, the combination with the physical locations over Esri, and then with the Autodesk solutions, really get to a solution that the client sees and they immediately realize the value of what they're getting. And again, it might not be what they asked for, but it actually is what they need.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Thank you. That's really interesting insights. Let's dig into automation. At its best, automation can transform a business by making it more efficient and more predictable. So staying with Johan, can you share with us your customer's story around automation and business processes in the construction or manufacturing industry and the outcomes they're seeing when you help them with that?
There's many, but let me give you this one. This client, they wanted to improve their efficiency in construction. At the time on tools, as some of you might know. So how much are you actually productively working and not having the breaks or bathroom and whatever. What we did is by combining their platforms, their information, combining the data and making sure that the right information was at the right time for the right people. And that included everything. So that's not just the documents. It's also the materials. It's the equipment that they need. And brought that all together. And they had a 20+% increase on time on tools.
That's amazing.
And that is amazing.
Yeah.
So that's real value delivery to a client.
Right. Yeah, just shortening all that time that's required to do all that toil.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Colin, given that Amazon is the leading hyperscaler and one of the largest companies in the world, you probably have a very unique perspective on scale and connecting. Where do you see the highest need for automation and optimization worldwide at Amazon?
Well, right now I'd say that developer productivity is a really exciting area for us. And Amazon's operations, as you can imagine, span just a really wide range of industries. And across all these, we have thousands of development teams.
Yeah.
So anything that we can do in terms of developer productivity just has enormous leverage for us.
Right.
We've been using Amazon Q, which is our generative AI developer tool, to dramatically reduce the amount of time that it takes to spend time maintaining and upgrading our code base. So a great example of this happened this year where we were doing a company-wide upgrade of Java 17. And in typical times where we've done something like this in the past, we found that it would take about 50 days per application to get those changes made. Using Q, we're able to take that 50 days and get that down to just a few hours. And so, overall, that translated into saving for us about 4,500 years of developer time.
Wow.
And in roughly 80% of the cases, the coders were able to just take the change, do the code review, and take it as is without any further changes. So as a result, what's happening now is we're spending a lot more of our time building net new functionality instead of these maintenance activities.
Yeah, that's amazing. And these are experienced developers that are doing this. They're comfortable with using these technologies. And certainly at Autodesk, we're doing the same thing. We're finding great productivity value with these AI tools. Conrad, I was at your partner and developer conference in March at Esri's conference, and it really was amazing. The kind of work that you're doing with AI is really fascinating. Can you share with us how you've seen AI automate and collect analysis and represent that data? You know, how are you able to use AI to really make your customers more successful?
No, AI, like, it's really an evolution and actually more convergence that we observe. Like, we are having 3 levels at Esri that we talk about AI. Of course, there is Geo-AI, where we especially talk about pattern extraction from data that we have, like imagery, map data, point clouds, all of these sorts of things. And we use also machine learning things there already, like, since actually decades to do that, including pre-trained models and all of these sorts of things. And that is actually growing a lot. Then we have, of course, the assistant AI, again, talking about productivity of the people that deal with the technology we built, but also using this an interface, a human interface to actually build maps, to find data faster, right? That's really a big discussion from yesterday as well, which is so key for our productivity. And being able to also get maybe non-experts into tapping GIS, into geographic information systems, and that's super powerful. And then we, of course, in the third party, agentic AI, something we've spoken about a lot the last couple of days, that has really taken it to the next level of like automating and reasoning. And that's a strong evolution. I would at the same time say, like, the guiding principle that we have under all of this is, well, we always should be outcome driven, right? So that's really the leadership in all of that, like staying focused on what we actually want to achieve and serving for the purpose. And in that, one element that really turns out to be important is transparency. How can we show what is there? And that is where maps are so powerful, because you can show what is happening in the different steps.
Yeah, all that complexity shown visually.
Right, making it comprehensive.
And GIS is just such a data problem, right? It's overlaying all of that together, and using AI to simplify it is just so profoundly powerful. Very interesting. Now, staying with you, Conrad, Esri has been market leader for many years. The way you've done that is by staying on the cutting edge of technology and by listening intently to your customers. So looking 3 years down the road, where do you see digital information and enterprise integration going? And how can our audience prepare for that future?
Totally, you know, like, it's fortunate to be in a company that spends 30% of its revenue into R&D, so that's really deeply in the DNA of what Esri has been doing during the last 50 years, going all these different technology trends and changes that have been happening. And what really stands out for me, what excites me personally a lot recently, is, of course, how reality capture, reality mapping, 3D, and AI all together are integrating into more a continuous way of mapping and, for example, doing asset monitoring as something that is much more continuous. Well, at the same time, it also means, like, the way of working that we do is changing. Like, it gets dealing more with uncertain data, very diverse layer types. And I think that is really strong to see. In like what we do as leaders, I think it's still important to stay outcome driven, right? Technology is just a means to an end. And in thinking less in these big monolithic architectures and systems that we built in the past, but instead of thinking in small domain-driven solutions that people can build on their own, that they can make decisions on their own, but that we can still connect through APIs within the organization, but also outside and to other systems, like in the connected platform thinking.
Yeah, so it's this sort of convergence of all of these things, but without creating some monolithic beast. Right? Yeah, I'm preparing for that. Thank you. Johan, what are you most excited about for the audience in the next few years? What will they be able to do tomorrow that they can't do today, and how do they prepare for that?
Great question again. If you look at the speed at which things have been developing, take the last 2 years, Gen AI and now agentic AI, which is something that for the last few months you now hear coming up. I actually dare everybody in the audience to just imagine for a moment. Think about a tomorrow. Think about a day in your life in a few years from now, where, because we integrate all these things, because we are using these techniques, is that the administrative burden and the irritational things you have on your day-to-day tasks that you have to do are all taken away by that agentic approach, and that you can focus on your core competencies and you can really add value. That is where we see the future going in a few years. And how do you get ready? Be the best of who you can be. and be aware of what latest technologies are available to you and how these platforms and data streams can all be connected.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's trying to figure out where the toil is, where the not fun part of your job is.
And take it out.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And Colin, where's AWS going over the next few years? And that will help our audience realize their enterprise integration ambitions. And how can they prepare for that? And how can AWS help them prepare for that?
Yeah, I would say that over the next few years, we're moving something towards what I would call sort of more intelligent integration. So it's no longer just connecting systems together. It's really about embedding intelligence into those connections. And we've been investing very heavily in generative AI, obviously, things like Amazon Bedrock, Amazon Q. And what we're seeing from that is that we're helping customers build smarter, more agentic, and autonomous integration patterns that can really sort of understand, learn, and adapt. And in practice, what that really means is that not only are integrations getting far more powerful, but they're getting much, much easier to create and to maintain. The second thing that we're seeing sort of in that same vein is democratization of integrations. So traditionally integrations would have required development skills, specialized skills, programming skills. It's becoming far more accessible. And so we're sort of seeing the rise of these citizen integrators that are able to use tools, they might be in the line of business, and be able to get things done that just weren't possible before without pulling in their engineering teams. And so this is really letting folks sort of solve problems on their own.
Making it more accessible, basically.
Absolutely, right? And it's much broader. And so, my best advice for everybody would be that now is the time to begin experimenting with these tools, if you aren't already. I'd suggest taking an existing pattern, integration, using AI tools to put that together. And I'd say that the tech's ready, and really success is going to come from how you use it.
That's great. The future is already here. We just need to seize it, is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
Great. One last question for all of you. When you're not trying to save the world through enterprise integration and digital transformation, what do you enjoy doing in your free time? Would you like to start?
Yeah, I take off my cape, for saving the world. But no, spending time with my family, which, is probably the most important thing, at least in my life and maybe in most of the lives of the people in this audience. But I'm an avid book reader, actually.
Great.
And it's non-fiction. And a lot of science.
Yeah.
But it just, helps me to grow as a person.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Conrad?
Of course, enterprise IT is most important.
Of course. After that.
Yes. So I spend a lot of time with my family. That's what I really enjoy. Drawing energy from relationships. But also being in nature and doing music. All of that nicely complements it.
Great.
And finding the synergy between all of those is really exciting for me.
Awesome. Thank you.
I guess I'll go with a more seasonal answer. My family as well, of course.
Yeah.
But during the 6 weeks of the year, I live in the Pacific Northwest, where it's nice.
Yeah.
I basically spend as much time on the water as possible.
Right. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. Like you all, I love to be around people that I care for, out in nature, around beauty. So of course, Amsterdam is like a perfect place for all of us. So Conrad, Johan, Colin, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you spending time with us and sharing your knowledge. Thank you. Thank you. So all of you at DevCon, you're also experts. Where do you see the future, and how are you preparing for it? Talk to others during the break, share with them your thoughts, and learn from each other. This is a great opportunity to do that during DevCon. Personally, I'm energized and inspired by what the future holds in store for us. Let's all go out there and make it happen together. Our next speaker is someone who I've known for a few years. He's passionate about making a meaningful, positive impact on the world and tirelessly helping others do the same. Please join me in welcoming to the DevCon stage, Autodesk's Chief Sustainability Officer, Joe Spiker. Welcome.
Thank you, Bill.
Great.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, Emil. It is so great to be here in Amsterdam today. While I call San Francisco home, I am spending a lot of time in Europe this year. And that is because Europe is leading the world in sustainability. This is driven by the most advanced climate and emissions regulations across the planet. Now, other regions, like Asia Pacific, are moving quickly, but Europe remains the frontier. And where regulation leads, innovation follows. And so that's what I want to share with all of you today, and hopefully inspire you to take part in. This is a moment of massive opportunity. The opportunity to use Autodesk's technology to create more sustainable outcomes for your businesses, for your customers, and for the planet. So let's start right here. Amsterdam is well ahead of the curve. Since beginning their smart city journey in 2008, the city has shown what is possible when the public and private sectors work together and focus on outcomes. From its world-class cycling infrastructure, and I should stop here for all of you who are visitors like me, I feel lucky to be with you today, as no one warned me about the world-class cycling infrastructure, and I feel as though I've come within millimeters of my life on multiple occasions, stepping into bike lanes. But truly, investments in public infrastructure such as transportation are incredibly important, as is the adoption of energy-saving technologies throughout Amsterdam. It's a local example of what we need to achieve globally, because the climate challenges that we face don't respect borders or politics. And climate change is intensifying. Last year was the hottest year on record, once again. It was also the first time that we exceeded the 1.5 degree threshold set by the Paris Climate Agreement 10 years ago. And the sectors that Autodesk serves, architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, these sectors are associated with 58% of total global greenhouse gas emissions every year. This makes this not just a planetary imperative, but a business one. So we, as technologists and innovators, can help to address these challenges. And there is value in that. There's both business value and societal value. And yes, we are seeing progress. Globally, last year, we invested over $2 trillion in renewable energy expansion on the grid. And countries like the US, interestingly, and the EU, member states of the EU, have successfully decoupled growth, economic growth, and carbon emissions. It shows that this transition is possible. But we also spent $320 billion responding to climate disasters last year. We get a return on that $2 trillion in energy investment, and we just get back to baseline with our disaster response. We all know that prevention is so much more cost-effective than treatment. And that requires applying both technology and people to help solve these problems. The global workforce is undergoing significant transformation. Today, we don't have enough human capital familiar with climate change and carbon reduction technologies. And if we pile on all the changes that come with AI, it feels like we're in for a bumpy ride. Ultimately, I believe it comes down to this. We don't have enough people trained in sustainability tools and practices, and the pace of technological change is accelerating faster than the talent pipeline can keep up. This is especially true in the construction and manufacturing industries. We urgently need to scale climate literacy alongside technical skills in the workforce. That's where platforms like Autodesk come in, to amplify human capabilities, to guide better decision-making, and to unlock sustainability at scale. So we heard Shelley say yesterday, generative AI is changing how we design and make. And yes, AI can be a headwind. It requires enormous amounts of energy, particularly from large cloud providers. But it is also an extraordinary tailwind for sustainability. Why? Because when AI is paired with clean, connected data, it can help us optimize for material efficiency, waste reduction, and automating decisions that lead to carbon emissions reductions at every stage of the design and make process. So these are the macro trends, and you may see them as massive challenges, but they are also massive opportunities. You just heard Vikram mention the State of Design and Make report. It is an excellent resource for understanding our markets overall. And in that report, fully 74% of digitally mature companies are already experiencing short-term gains from their sustainability initiatives. So there are opportunities, and these opportunities are growing. Opportunities to move sustainability from proof of concept to standard practice. Opportunities to rethink how we design and make across teams, across geographies, and across sectors. And opportunities to empower the people in this room, all of you, to build the tools, applications, and workflows that unlock sustainability for everyone. So here is the core message that I want all of you to remember. If you take away one thing from today, remember this, please. Sustainability is a data problem. And it is more specifically, it is a local data problem. If you want a more sustainable building or product, you need to understand the emissions factors associated with your materials, your energy sources, and your processes, all at a local level. That requires data. Data including the local energy grid and its renewables mix, the bill of materials and the embodied carbon in your supply chain, the life cycle performance of the asset you're designing and constructing. And you need that data to flow across tools, across teams, and across phases of work. That is why connected, granular, interoperable data is not a nice to have, it is a necessary prerequisite for sustainability. So let me bring this to life. Today, an engineering firm might design the most sustainable building on paper. Well, hopefully they're not using paper, using a digital file. We're in trouble if they're using paper. And they optimize for energy efficiency and low carbon materials. When that design is handed off to the contractor, a lot of data is lost. And what gets built isn't necessarily what was designed. And we know this as the change orders stack up. Then, when the asset is turned over to the owner-operator, they're left asking, is this building performing as promised? Is it truly energy efficient? To get answers today requires people, spreadsheets, and a lot of time. Now, imagine the same project on Autodesk's cloud platform, augmented by the tools that all of you create. The same model is used to generate construction plans. That is then carried forward into a digital twin for operations. Real-time performance on energy, water, materials is captured and monitored automatically. That is how we reduce waste. That is how we ensure what gets designed is what gets made. And that is how we close the gap between sustainability ambition and action. This is the promise of platform. And this is where all of you come in. As developers, you can build the applications and extensions that make sustainability data visible and actionable. You can help streamline complex decision-making and create workflows that optimize for carbon, cost, and performance. So let's look at a few examples of this in action. You heard Shelley yesterday mention the Sotra Bridge example. Norconsult used Autodesk Platform Services to connect and visualize design and construction data, improving collaboration across all stakeholders. And they didn't stop there. Now, the bridge managers are using built-in sensors and APS to create a real-time digital twin of the structure. They can monitor structural stresses, weather, vibrations, and even air quality. Think about all that data that's being created and what can be done with it. That can be used for predictive maintenance, traffic optimization, even emissions tracking. That is the opportunity for developers, for all of you, to build on the platform. And ultimately, that's what this is about. How you can create workflows and applications that make data usable and informs better decision-making. So listen, I'm not a developer. I can't do what many of you do. But if you get me the right data, I can help create a sustainable solution. So let's work together. This is climate mitigation and adaptation in action, and it's powered by all of you and the applications that you can build. So RSP, a global architecture and engineering firm, they use Autodesk Forma to streamline sustainability strategy and design, and the team was able to reduce time spent on volume studies by 70%. The more time that you can save on rote processes, the more you can focus on customer value and outcomes, including sustainability outcomes. RSP's design for the National University of Singapore exceeded net zero targets and achieved energy positive performance. That's what's possible. Other partners, like Artelia, are using our platform to link sustainability goals to actionable project data. Artelia built a web app that fills data gaps to provide carbon footprint analysis early in the design process. The app overlays the building model with color-coded simulation that represents high or low carbon emissions footprint. It's so simple. It's color-coded, red, yellow, and green to show sustainability performance. It's making those decisions actionable. At a glance, Artelia's clients can see the impact of design choices on sustainability and identify areas for improvement. So these aren't just one-off case studies. They're a glimpse of what is possible when you combine the power of platform and developer creativity. Autodesk is building the design and make platform to support this future. No more data silos, no more lost insights, just better outcomes for businesses and for the planet. So we are at a pivotal moment in time. The choices that we collectively make today, where we spend our time, what we build, what we optimize for, will shape the future for generations to come. And we can't do it alone. We need you, developers, partners, technologists, customers, to leverage APIs and create the applications and workflows that bring the platform to life and create value for customers and value for the planet. Because again, climate change isn't bound by geography or ideology. It is a global challenge, and it requires a global, coordinated response. Together, we can build the digital tools that drive a lower carbon and more resilient future. Together, we can empower every designer, engineer, builder, and manufacturer to make better choices automatically. And together, we can ensure that what gets designed is what gets built, and that what gets built is performing as it should. So let's keep building, let's keep connecting, and let's keep making progress on purpose. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please join me in welcoming Ben back to the stage to bring us home.
You gotta love that. Sustainability is growing up. Our industries now see sustainability as good for innovation and profitability. For digitally mature companies, the benefits are gigantic. As Joe shared, 85% of digitally mature organizations now see long-term benefits from sustainability. And 74% see it in the short term. That means it's now. It shows that sustainability impacts the bottom line. And by connecting digital data and driving transformation, we get a more resilient and sustainable future. As your partner, APS is going to help you go there, both faster and further. To go faster, your tool set with APS and data exchange connectors will continue to expand. And I can't wait to see what industry problems you solve next and how you rethink problems using artificial intelligence and granular data sets. To help you go further, I want to share the Autodesk App Store and the plugins that help expand your reach. With 4,000 applications, the App Store is one of the biggest B2B app stores in the world. It has a massive scale and extends your reach, whether you are building on APS or creating desktop extensions. Some of our partners have surpassed 1 million downloads. Just imagine expanding by 1 million of anything. That's the power of the App Store, helping you reach new customers in new markets. And APS, we're your innovation partner, helping you grow your business. We have several opportunities to continue our conversation beyond DevCon, but I want to highlight 3 with you today. In July, we have an online training to get you started with the AEC data model and API connectors. You heard from Shelly yesterday about our data strategy. In this class, it's just what you need to get started. In October, there's an accelerator in Germany where you can sit down and work directly with the APS team to build your ideas into proof of concepts. That's a great opportunity for you. And then in September, I want to invite you to Autodesk University, the Design and Make conference. This year, it's taking place in Nashville, in the US. In addition to the APS keynote, classes, and hands-on support from our team, we have a new special event planned on that Monday, September 15th, that'll help kick off the conference. This is exclusively for APS community, and I hope to see you there. I have one final thought I want to share with you. The writer, William Gibson, has a quote. He says, "The future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed." Now, Gibson is known as a science fiction writer, but this quote is compelling to us as technologists and innovators designing a better world. I know the future is already here. We all know the future is here. We see it in each of our industries. We can imagine and touch and work with what's possible. The data is here. Our job is to make that technology accessible to more people. That's the value we bring. That's why we have a business opportunity. Essentially, we distribute the future more evenly by driving digital transformation for more companies in more markets, by making real gains with artificial intelligence, and by building a low-carbon future that scales. I know if the work we do together and the goals we're trying to hit, we can design and make a better world for all. Thank you.